address delivered, I think, sometime in February or March 2017, and the oomph and gusto with which he went about reciting what he claimed to be problems that he had inherited. Now, that state of the nation, when compared to what we have now, is completely unrecognizable. It is like one of those boxers who gets into the ring and gets pummeled so badly that when you see his face, you cannot make him out. You would have to be prompted to know that it is this particular boxer because he's been so badly beaten and his face completely disfigured. That is what President Akufo-Addo and Alhaji Bawumia have done to the Ghanaian state. So when the minority leader asserted yesterday that the state of the country now is hopeless, he was spot on. Andy, I will urge you to grab President Akufo-Addo's maiden State of the Nation address and read the parts where he was lamenting what he had inherited and compare to the state of Ghana today as you know it. You would see that we were in a much better situation than we are currently. Today, the most dominant theme for many Ghanaian households is the state of the economy. And in fact, the economy featured very prominently in President Akufo-Addo's first address to Parliament. For instance, Randy, he lamented our public debt. He said that it was 122 billion Ghana cedis at the time. It was actually 120 billion at the time we were living. Just that in the early part of the year before he read it, there was some depreciation in the currency. So if you did the conversion at the time he was reading, an additional 2 billion had been added. But when we were living in January 7th, it was 120. But let us even for argument purposes accept it's 122 billion. The president lamented a 122 billion Ghana cedi debt, which stood in the name of Ghana from the time of independence till the time President Obama was living. Randy, as of the time the president was reading the State of the Nation address yesterday, even if we were to chalk off anything they've done the whole of this year in terms of borrowing, we were 600 billion Ghana cedis in debt. And at the time President Akufo-Addo was lamenting the State of the Nation address in 2017, our debt to GDP ratio, Randy, that is, if you picked our debt today and you compared it to our GDP, you see if nominally you could use the GDP to do a bullet payment. It is only a theoretical calculation. And when he was complaining in 2017, the thing was 56%. That's what President Mahama had bequeathed him. At the end of last year, it was 104%. It meant that our entire GDP would be swallowed up by our debt with an extra 4% to contend with. This is a catastrophic situation. And it is no wonder, therefore, that President Akufo-Addo and Alhaji Bawumia had to unilaterally declare that we're no longer going to honor our debt obligations. So for the first time in several decades, I think it was in Achampon's time in the 70s, that we defaulted. Even then was a strategic default. It's not that we couldn't pay. He just said we won't pay because he believed that the international financial order was unfair to us. But in President Akufo-Addo's case, even if he wanted to pay, he won't get FOCO to pay. So he said he cannot pay. So we had a debt default. At the time that he was lamenting the State of the Nation in 2017, and we had not defaulted on our debt. Not even the city was in default. Today, 1.3 million bondholders, Randy, who depend on bond proceeds for a living, including pensioners, have received what is euphemistically referred to as a financial haircut. In other words, government says they won't pay at least the amounts that they were due. And when you calculate it, it is in excess of 100 billion Ghana cedis. And that is just for domestic bondholders. When President Akufo-Addo was lamenting the State of the Nation address, the State of the Nation in 2017, not a single bondholder had suffered even a shaving of his mustache, let alone a haircut. And when President Akufo-Addo was lamenting the State of the Nation in 2017, inflation was at 15.4%. Yes, it was not single digit, but 15.4% inflation is quite manageable and will not throw your finances out of gear and erode your disposable income. At a certain point in 2022, that still rose to 54.1%. Hyperinflation. So that if you went to the market in the morning to purchase this item, you are most likely to find when you go back that the price has increased in the same day, sometimes in the space of hours. It came down, and only last month, the Ghana Statistical Service informed us that it had inched up again. So it's now 23.5%. Way higher than what President Akufo-Addo was lamenting. Yesterday, I heard him say that some stability was returning to